So, per our last episode, I think there is a question that we posed and that a lot of people have inquired about for easily the last 2 years. There's been a lot of memes and tweets and comments circulating around. What happened to Forex People? Do y'all remember the time? Y'all remember when Forex People was around? Do y'all remember Forex People? Whatever happened to them? And we got into it a little bit on the last episode in regards to like just our experience in network marketing and our thought processes, and but there's more to the stories, right? And I think this is a big thing that a lot of people want to know, and I think it's time to talk about it.
Yeah, because we still here.
All right.
But let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
The memes are a lot. Let's start by saying the memes are a lot. I think a lot of people are trying to be like, I told you so.
Yeah.
And they're partially right. But I think a lot happened that we have to unpack that people really don't know. They don't really understand.
I agree.
But now that I'm trading professionally, everywhere I go, people hate I am.
They hate.
Like in this industry, I'm telling y'all, there's a legit hate out there for us. Like anybody that was a part of I am and they were marketing Forex, they don't like us. They don't like us.
I have a 2-part question for that though. My first question is, how does that make you feel? And my second question is, what is it about the company and combining Forex, which we need to actually really unpack that, but I'll let you answer this question first. What is it about attaching Forex to multi-level marketing that was so bad or seen in the industry of Forex trading from professionals as something that people don't like?
All right, so we're about to go back to that second one, but just to answer the first one, feeling wise, I understand why they feel that way. I understand why people may have a bad taste about people that had merged Forex and network marketing. One, because we're talking about young people that didn't know how to market a revolutionary product, which was education in the Forex market. We had a lot of people that didn't know how to market it, but also I don't think it was taught in the way that teaches from the professionalism of what trading is. And when you do that and you mix it into an industry that has, like I tell people, traders are not born, they are made. So if you're making a trader, there's a lot that comes with that that quote unquote Forex dudes in the MLM industry, they did not respect. They did not respect the time frame that it takes. Telling people that they can take a signal and make money is not true. You know what I'm saying? Like that stuff is not true. Saying, having the psychology of, oh, I made this money. I had this biggest day, or I had this biggest day. Well, you're playing on the psychology of somebody that hasn't had that needs some money, that hasn't had that biggest day yet. Now you're playing on their psychology to the point where it's going to mess them up in the market. So there were so many things that we did wrong as a company. I'm talking about like having accountability as a company. There were so many things that was done wrong when it comes to the profession of Forex trading that people have a distaste for, which I understand.
I think
so. For the second question,
you kind of answered it with that, but I want to kind of segue into really what I think a lot of people need to understand is there were so many people. The reason why the comment is being made, like what happened to those individuals is because there isn't an actual separation of the two. There were so many people that said, I joined Forex, or I just got started with like people used to be in my DMs. Yeah, I just got started with Forex yesterday. I'm confused because I don't get it. You know, I'm in Forex. Like, huh?
You're in Forex.
I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? And I think from what you're talking about in regards to marketing, it was our inability, and I say our because we were all a part of the company. Even if you were good and your group was good, but there was other groups that weren't properly educating on what it was that we're doing. I think the fact that the company provided the education wasn't always effectively presented or marketed or sold properly in order for people to understand that I am a part of this company that provides me with the foreign exchange education. The product that I have purchased is education and access to this stuff, right? However, there is a way for me to make money outside of that. There's two ways to make money. When they talk about two ways to get paid, there was for me to just solely want to learn about the information. That was Malcolm. There was me who solely wanted to make money from putting people on. My reason and rationale for putting people on originally wasn't just about making $10,000 a month, right? It was about the fact that a lot of, I look at what's happening right now with the writer's strike and the actor's strike and unfair pay for producers in the music industry and writers in the music industry and all that kind of stuff like that. I was thinking about things like COVID in 2017, right? And my thought process was like, if my friends, because I have a lot of friends in the entertainment industry, if my friends couldn't do what they do, if they couldn't go out on the road, if they couldn't do a show, if they couldn't go on tour, if they couldn't get in the studio, if they can't go act, they can't do their shows, how would we make money? Because at the time I was also working in the studio. So I felt that, like, personally, like, how will we make money? If you think about somebody who's, let's say, a heart surgeon and they're playing basketball and they break their pinky finger, how do they make money? Right? And those were the kind of questions that were going through my mind of why people needed to understand and learn the skill set. So my desire for building an organization came from my ability to believe in the information that was being taught.
Right.
We weren't good at product, right? I wasn't good at coffee because it was coffee, right? My mother-in-law does Mary Kay hard, bro.
Right.
I'm not about to give you a facial.
Yeah.
So this is why network marketing was never actually appealing to me until it became financial. Right? Because I saw what people could learn. Everybody's not going to want to join a company and sell you a tea that can help you lose weight unless you're a fanatic for weight loss. I never wanted to be in Herbalife because I'm still trying to get consistent in the gym to this day. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? When I saw the product of being able to have people learn about education in the investment space, because that's where I was looking to do that myself at the time. But the barrier of entry was way lower in the foreign exchange market versus in the stock market. And I say that because I feel like I've told this before on the show, but when we first moved to Atlanta, my dad hit me up. He was like, yo, they're having a Rich Dad Poor Dad seminar in Atlanta. You should go. Me and Malcolm went. Loved it. And they were having a follow up. This is like the psychology of sales, so it's everywhere. Right?
Oh yeah.
So at the end of the meeting,
the blueprint to
at the
T.
end of the meeting, what do they say? If you want more information, we're actually having a 3-day workshop. That's going to be, I think it was like $300-$400. I'm like, cool, whatever. No, that wasn't the crazy part.
It felt crazy back then. Is what I'm saying.
No, it was still cool. We were fresh in Atlanta. Like, I still had a lot of money.
Yeah, but it's still
okay. Anyway,
it was still crazy.
So it was like $300-$400. I'm like, cool, maybe it might have been like $250. It might have been $250. I don't think it was that high. I think the real upsell was once you got there.
What was the one that was like a couple $1,000?
Yeah, it was at the next thing. So at the 3-day thing, they gave you
crazy,
$2,000. You can get the mentorship, and you'll get our private simulator. You learn. So I'd already spent the money. So to see something that's $195 to be able to learn about an even bigger market and have consistent education on it, I was like, oh, I'm all in. But I knew that was something that you had more of a passion for, but I saw why it would be something that people needed to know. So I was cool with recruiting simply because I believed in the information. I believed in the industry. And the reason why I have to say this is because there weren't enough of us that helped people understand that these were two separate entities. Because when you ask the question, what happened to Forex People, or remember that era, there are individuals that 1,000% are still and have been, and before our company, trading in the foreign exchange market with or without a company. That is something that can be done with or without a company. And there were a lot of people that still to this day don't actually even know or understand that. I have conversations with people all the time that don't know that they can still trade without a company. You can buy a book.
Yeah,
there are plenty of courses out here. You know what I'm saying? Shameless plug, Better Than Amazing Academy for individuals. Shout out to my brother DL Woods. Like, he was one of the educators on the platform, but he learned from this platform.
He literally changed his life from it. Yeah.
Changed his life from learning the skill set. But he also was a recruiter, had one of the biggest organizations in the company.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was making $25,000 a month from the recruiting side, had a large organization, but he became very, very well off from training. And now he has his own academy educating people on the skill set, which means, guess what? He doesn't have a recruiting aspect. You don't have to tell nobody. You can come in and learn. You don't got to be in there and pay month after month after month after, like the same things that you think that you had to do with our company from a network marketing standpoint. There are people that sell their $500 course for you to watch recordings. You know what I'm saying? And so I want people to understand that these were two separate entities from jump. But because of how some individuals marketed it, it wasn't seen that way. And I was one of them at the beginning until I started, like we talked about in the first part, developing separate skill sets that will help people understand what it is that we're doing. Me and Malk got to the point where we would tell people, you can just quit. You're not built for this.
Yeah. I mean, because we're talking about two of the toughest industries were combined.
Two of the toughest.
This was a monster. Like, two of the hardest things you could ever do for yourself, we combined as a company, and
which was borderline genius.
It was genius. It was fucking genius.
And when we get into trauma, it's because it was so good.
Yeah, that joint, that business model, or that idea to merge the two is genius and toxic at the same time. Because what it does is, now, not only am I having to learn a skill set and try to apply what I'm learning into a marketplace that I have no idea, that I'm going to bang my head against the wall over and over and over again until I actually find consistency, which is one of the hardest things to do.
My God.
And then I got to come over here and fight the battle of
trying to tell people it works.
Telling people it works when it's not working for you. You know what I'm saying?
But I believe.
But I effing believe that it could work for me. You know what I'm saying?
And that was a lot of people's issue with it. Was like, well, you did you buy that Lambo with your Forex money, or did you buy that Lambo? Well, like, nigga, it doesn't matter. When I go to the bank, to the grocery store, do they say, would you like to pay with Forex money or MLM money? Like, I hated that question, but it was a real thing because there was no distinction, but people knew.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I understand why people would say that, yo, just from an accountability standpoint. Like, we had people that were literally saying, you sitting on your phone, you sitting on the couch anyhow,
all day anyhow.
You could be learning skill set. What we did was we made it seem like something was wrong with you
if you weren't doing it.
If you wasn't doing this, you had no chance of making $1 million. You had no chance of creating wealth for your family. You have no chance of doing anything financially significantly if you didn't take on this opportunity. And that was the wrong approach.
Yes, and I think that's where if you go on Twitter right now and type in Forex, bro, people are still talking about this to this day. Sorry, Threads, but Twitter's still the GOAT for this. If you go in there right now and you search, people will talk about how we treated them. It wasn't necessarily that they didn't believe that they could be profitable. They were turned off by how they were treated. So it's like when when you're a young lady and you're at the grocery store, you're at the mall, you're at the gas station, and somebody try to talk to you, and you're like, I'm cool, I'm married, blah blah blah, and like, bitch, didn't nobody want to mess with your ugly, and now I'm like, nigga, you just wanted to talk to me, and now I'm a B, now I'm ugly, I'm fat, all these things. Oh, my car don't even. What is happening, bro? And I think the other thing is when you get into lifestyle marketing, which in COVID, that's where everybody went. You have to focus on how to play on people's belief and what they were afraid of. And so now you got all this lifestyle marketing. This is not even just in network marketing. This was just in industries in particular where everybody was now selling you a course to teach you something. Because honestly, the truth of the matter is, Malcolm says this all the time, if you're not putting yourself in position to learn some sort of skill set that isn't your job, that can pay you outside of that, you have to, like, just the way the economy is, like, those are true things. But at the time, it could be said in a way that is manipulative to play on your feelings. It's
very easy to manipulate. Yeah,
for sure. But a lot of people didn't talk about how much they didn't believe in Forex or whatever. The only we turned people off from something they thought they could use. There weren't that many people that hated Forex or hated what it could do for them or investing or anything like that. They hated us. They hated Forex people. That's why I can tell somebody, oh yeah, you remember those Forex people? I was one of them, and they know exactly the time, the place that they heard from somebody like me. You know what I'm saying?
And even though we wasn't all marketing the same way,
right? Because we didn't, but
we're all put in the same box.
We're all put in the same box. But I can, just from a transparency standpoint, like at the beginning, before I understood the skill sets of being able to sell your offer, which is in anything, but being able to articulate what it is I want from somebody, and that's what a lot of us couldn't do. Is like, how do I tell you what it is that I really want you to do,
right,
without making you feel like trash for not doing it? Like, that's okay, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of us couldn't articulate it. So it's like, or we would get intimidated by the responses, or somebody saying, "Oh, that's a scam. Your job is a scam. Do you know that?"
Get combative now.
Do you know what a pyramid scheme really is? And I'm like, okay. I got to the point where it was like, so is this a scam? It's not.
Right.
That's a whole nother posture.
Yeah.
Than you arguing with somebody on the phone and telling them how they trash and you don't know nothing and you don't got no ambition, you never gonna be nothing in life. No, it's not a scam. Next question. You know what I'm saying? Being able to be in a room and somebody interrupt your presentation. Well, let's save all questions for the end. I'll definitely circle right back around. Being able to command that space. A lot of people didn't want to develop those skill sets. They wanted to be dictators and tell you about yourself.
Yeah.
If you're not doing this, you are trash. And that is where a lot of the taste and the disdain for what we were doing came from.
Why do we do that to each other though? Like,
because we're intimidated.
When we feel like we found gold, we make our same people feel less than. Like,
it's on both sides though.
Yeah,
it's on both sides though, because the person that has the gold feels like you need the gold. The person who doesn't have the gold, that's been presented with gold, feels like, I don't trust you because you look just like me. And so we've talked about this before, where it's like a back and forth combat of, I don't believe in you because you just found this gold. So although you now possess the gold, you just found it, so I don't trust it. Or it can't be gold from you. Give me gold from the nigga that's making $100,000 a month. Give me gold from the person that makes $500,000. I don't want gold from you and your $1,000 a month person. I don't want gold. Like, think about it. When you were working your job and you were actually being profitable from both aspects of trading, your supervisor was like, all right, when you make $500, then I'll do it.
Right.
You make $500. Oh, nah, bro. When you make $1,000, I'll do it. You make $1,000. When you make $5,000, I'll do it. You make $5,000.
Yeah.
Then at $10,000 from the business, right? Now this is not just from Forex. Now this is $10,000 from the business. Now you're making everybody's salary 5 times a month, plus your salary. And now you leave the job.
It was so working a job and doing this wasn't the hard part. It was more so knowing that I wanted to do this full time. Well, I didn't even know I wanted to do Forex full time. I just know I didn't want to do what I was doing full time. And I was the person telling people all around the job, like, yo, we can
they
do
was
this.
gonna fire you anyway.
I was like Harriet Tubman of my job. I was the worst employee ever. I was telling people, hey, we ain't got to do this. Hey, look, we can make this. We can make this amount of money every day if we did. You know, I was just trying to be Harriet Tubman in that joint.
Mm-hmm.
But I think where we, I guess, dropped the ball as a company or as individuals is that we went too hard in the paint on people, man. We went too hard on the paint on people, thinking that this will be the end all be all. And then what you do now is you do create an opposition.
Mm-hmm.
Now people are waiting for you to fail. Now people are waiting for your business model to fail. Now people are going to ask you, so how's your trading going? How's that little business going? Because you're going so hard on them. And their lives are not bad.
No, listen.
But we made it seem like you making what? 50,000 a year? You're gonna be broke forever. Like that's the energy that we were giving off to people.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying? And it's unfortunate because most people ain't doing that business anymore.
Scrambling.
Let's unpack the trauma.
Before we get there,
okay,
I want to ask you this, because we're probably going to end on that.
Okay.
But as somebody who's decided to professionally now trade,
okay,
what would you say was lacking from the understanding of the knowledge, or like the presentation, the knowledge that was given when you're now focused on doing it like for real? Because I will say, watching you become a professional trader, I literally, as somebody who sold that product, have no desire to do what I was selling. Right, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, watching you do it, not from a multi-level marketing standpoint, but from a professionally managed funds standpoint, I have no desire to do
this.
Which is what, we say it was for everybody. It was for anybody, it wasn't for everybody. Right. But no, I don't agree with that at all anymore. That no, anybody cannot do this. It takes a specific Malcolm type of person.
I think we were selling a gambling mentality, and that is that was the biggest thing I see as a difference, is that we were selling a gambling mentality, meaning we were talking about flipping accounts, $1,000 accounts, $100 accounts, and people making, you know what I'm saying, making 100% on a $100 account. You're gonna blow it eventually, you know what I'm saying? Just because every time you were like somebody going to the casino. That's what was being taught. It wasn't being taught from a standpoint of longevity, of getting your psychology right, of developing a trading plan, sticking to your rules, understanding that this is gonna take years to develop. You're gonna have to become self-aware. You're gonna have to stare lost in the face every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, all these things were not harped upon. What we did was we said, everybody stand up who's made money. I want y'all to think, if people listen, I want you to think about you coming to an event and you hear or you see 50 people stand up saying that they've made money. And then I asked them what your biggest day was. What's your biggest day? What did you start your account with? Oh, $500. In your head, oh, I had $500. Okay, cool. That $500 grew to what, 2,000? How long did that take you? A month? Cool. What are they thinking? They're thinking that they're going to get a 200, 400% return on their money from this skill set within a month, which is literally, I'm going to say, impossible to do, because you can't do it 12 months out of the year. You know what I'm saying? So we were playing on people's psychology to the point where we really thought these people really thought that they were going to make a crazy return that even a hedge fund can't make you, that you was going to make it for yourself.
And so did we. We believed it.
And we believed it too. And here's the thing, we believed it too.
Like, it wasn't selling you a poppy show.
You know what I'm saying? We wasn't selling a poppy show. We believe this too, because this is what we had been indoctrinated in thinking.
And have done.
We flipped accounts. We also lost them. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna lose it just how you flipped it. And if I'm thinking of it from trading from a professional standpoint, we had it all wrong. We had the psychology all wrong. We taught the psychology all wrong. We didn't harp on it enough. And then we didn't focus on people actually getting a plan and following their plan to a T.
Or being profitable at trading at all.
Or being profitable at trading. Oh, we saying like signals are not going to get people to make money consistently, because you don't know what that other person is taking on the other side of that screen. You don't know if they're taking all their trades or some of their trades. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the truth of the matter is the actual objective was hopefully to get you to build a business, or for me to at least get your list, because there's one person in there that could do something crazy. And that's the truth.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and that's what unfortunately I see the biggest difference of.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can look outside looking in. I can see why people hated us. Like the people in the industry hated. Like, what are y'all teaching? Like, what are y'all teaching this for? Like, there were people that wasn't qualified to teach teaching. It's just is what it is. And looking back, like, okay, yeah, it's all we had. We had ourselves to teach. You know what I'm saying? Like, the people we were bringing in, they had no idea what we were teaching. We knew what we knew. We knew how to open up a broker account. We knew all these different things.
Facts.
But there was no focus on actually trying to do this as a career, because that's what it is.
Yeah. So back to what you were talking about. You was about to talk trauma to me.
No, I just think, like, where did it all change? When did it all change?
I think after COVID. COVID was a great year. COVID was a wonderful year.
COVID was the best year.
COVID.
If you had a course, it was the best year.
Yeah, if you had anything that could teach people something,
mm-hmm.
It was a wonderful season. But after that, I think after that, like I said, nobody was prepared for anything to change. Right? If you look at going into COVID, that was our third year in business. Right? So it's taken us all this long to not make this amount of money. And I think everything changed when you weren't prepared for anything to change. Like, you've been on the trajectory going just up. Nobody was ready for any type of correction, where you just, like, nothing is always that good.
Yeah.
But it was so good that it felt like nothing could happen to us. And
the run was wild.
Y'all, like, it was a great run, like a 3-year run in a business, like just straight up. is grand. But before, at the end of 2020, this was right when we found out we were pregnant. What started happening, honestly, for us was other Forex companies decided to start up.
It's true. People started,
and people started leaving.
With the business
there were competing companies now. People started leaving our organization, and I'll never forget, we got to Miami for our anniversary trip, and there was literally calls happening where people were recruiting people out of our business. And I think this is where the heartbreak and the hurt really started to happen, right? For me, because it was people that started speaking ill on us. And one thing I know that I can say is true is that we did our best to do right by all people, to support them, to financially sometimes, and not to say, but it was like, yo, people are literally like doing the recruiting by tainting our name. For me, if you want to move on, move on.
Just move on.
If you found something that you feel like is better suited for the people that you brought into this company, I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? And I know it sounds crazy to say, and a lot of people wouldn't believe that that's what you really mean, but I'm not stingy, and I don't believe that my wealth or that anything that I could create is in the hands of somebody else, or like if somebody else wins somewhere else, you know what I'm saying? If you look at all kinds of sports or whatever, like just because the Golden State Warriors won last year, they didn't win this year, but it doesn't make them not a championship team. They still got banners, they still got rings. When you talk about the greatest players players that ever do something, you always talk about how many championships they had.
Mm-hmm.
Person been in the league 20 years, but they only have this amount of championships. Are they no longer a champion just because the year to champion ratio doesn't add up? You know what I'm saying? So that's what I look at as like, yo, everybody has room to win. And anybody can do whatever. Like, one monkey don't stop no show is always how my parents taught me.
Right.
And so to now take all the things that were good, or like all the things that had been done for you, and to utilize my name in a negative way to move people away from me and to you, I couldn't deal with it.
They ain't care about you.
They ain't care about you. They ain't never did nothing for you. They ain't never did nothing for me. Nothing. You're crazy. Yo, like, I'm talking about people, and then calling other people and saying that, and then those people calling me like, yo, so and so said that you ain't never helped them, and I'm like, and you even know that's a lie. Why are you even calling? You know? So that's for me, crazy. But that, when you said this, I think in the first episode, part 1 of this, where you said, are you ready for that level of leadership? And a lot of people look at the good in all things. Are you ready for people who you literally gave the shirts off your back, your blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of time? We've had conversations on the show in regards to the aspects of our marriage that suffered, because we got married in this, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Aspects of our marriage that we put on the back burner just so that we can help people. And those same people coming, like, are you ready for those same people to now be telling people all kind of stuff that you never did, or ways that you never were? That was the beginning of it all.
That's the thing about this industry, though. Like, you don't know who is like truly for you. You really won't know until it's all over.
No, you won't know until it ain't hitting the same.
Yeah, like
when things start to change, like, you start to see, who's really rocking for you. Because I think one of the things that also isn't talked about in this industry is that the truth of the matter is we're all here to use each other.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
And even if I love you, I do understand that me helping you is a part of helping me.
Yeah.
And that's just a fact.
That's the underlying truth that is never
talked about. And I'm cool with saying it, because I know towards me getting out of the industry, I remember I was telling all the people that I worked with very closely, go get you something else. Because I refuse to allow things to change in your financial world just because we weren't allowed, or it felt like it was a cuss word, or it wasn't allowed for me to do anything that wasn't this. And there were so many people that had then adopted that same mentality, that there's nothing else I can do if it's not this. Like you said, this is the only way I'm gonna make $1 million. Yeah. It's the only way I'm gonna save my family. It's the only way I'm gonna be able to set my family up for this, because it was happening for a lot of us.
Yeah, and you gotta think of how young we were. So we were impressionable, starting impressionable in this, in this journey, in this industry, and making more money than, the average human being would make. You know what I'm saying?
Niggas was making
people salaries in a month.
So
just think about, like,
but was broke 3 years ago.
But was broke 3
So when
years
you
ago.
look at that, it's like, yo, anything is possible, which is true. But the thing was, like I said, there were never conversations about how to navigate. Like I said, I don't need an apology. I don't need nothing. What I wish that I had, because I wish I could have given it and taught it, because I remember people calling me like, Brett, what are we doing? What's happening? What are we supposed to do?
Seeing the numbers go down. Daily. It's like
I'm losing 500 people a day.
I'm losing 500 people. I'm losing 100 people
I can't
a day.
pay. But it wasn't until people were calling saying they couldn't pay their bills. That's when it got crazy.
Yeah.
Because for us, y'all know Malcolm is a super saver. So without the money, it was okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, without the money, we were still fine because of what we did with it in the seasons of plenty. I've talked about this plenty of times. In the season of plenty, what do? But in this industry, there's so much expense. Your experience expense.
That was part of what happened to Forex people. You know, I ain't gonna say niggas no more.
Yeah, we said it a lot.
That's what happened to a lot of Forex. A lot of people in Forex is that they over leveraged themselves because they were making a substantial amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
Is that they went out and got the condos, they went out, bought the cars, bought the vehicles, and did all the things as if they were making this money for the last 5 to 10 years. But in actuality, they were making it over the last 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do that, and then your business has a season where it literally dries up, now people are like messed up financially. Like they're like their whole life. You go from I want y'all to think about, like, think of somebody making $100,000 a month going to making $1,000 a month within 90 days.
Man, and it was happening so fast.
Like, think how quickly your lifestyle could change.
Not 90 days, like even
not 90
like
days,
8,
but if it, my God,
felt like,
some of them,
it felt like tomorrow.
What you talking about? Like, some was definitely 90 days. Some of that happened, like, but just in general, in 6 months, you went from 100,000 a month to
even
2,000.
if it was 10,000, even if it was $10,000, that's a significant.
That's a significant drop in change in your lifestyle, that what you were used to and accustomed to, because now you've grown to that.
But it wasn't even just that. It was principle of you got to be believing to go to the next level, which is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes we took it too far.
Yeah.
Like
you ain't gonna tell me just believe when I just went from 100,000 to
no. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in the over leveraging. It's like,
okay.
When I say expenses, like one of those expenses was your experience expense, like where am I staying, or how am I eat, like and then I gotta help the people experience what I'm experiencing so that they can believe that they can go to like those are still expensive to help somebody, to put somebody in position to believe. But the reason why you're doing it is because that's what was done for you. That's what got me here. That I believed in it. So I have to recreate experiences for people. Only I haven't been making the money as long enough for me not to feel it. Yeah, we're 20, we're 27, 28, 29. We don't grasp the concept financially of what this could be doing, right? I remember asking a top leader in the company, nobody in my direct group, but I was like, yo, I'm making this amount of money. How much money at $50,000 a month, right, with this company should I spend on rent? Should I on rent?
What they say?
$8,000.
Jesus, on rent?
On just, and
Ain't
I said,
no
and I responded and said all expenses, and it was like, you said just rent. Jeez. And so it's like, when you think about, like, the principle that we were taught was your living expenses shouldn't exceed 25% of your income. And we lived by that so much that our living expenses most of the time were under, at least we tried to keep it under 10 to 13%, just because it would give us more capital to do other stuff that we wanted to do. But when you think about what some people are now being told, you know what I'm saying? There's some people being told, like, yo, when you're making $5,000 a month, you need to have a videographer. So we're creating these experiences that weren't maintainable long term. Yeah. But it was to create the persona, like, now you have to show that you are this person. And leadership, you touched on this a little bit, I think, before, is that it almost felt like leadership was based off of the things that you possessed, not who you were, not the characteristics that you had, and all the things that are actual leadership qualities. It's like a leader stays at this hotel, a leader drives this car, a leader only goes Uber Black. But it's like, when I look at, I told this story too, like, now all the stories will make sense if you go back and listen to all 40 plus episodes on the podcast. They all make sense now. It's like all of the things that, like, so you have your leadership expense, your experience expense, and then the other expenses were like putting money into the organization to help them level up, help yourself, which ultimately it always paid you. Yeah, but I said, and that's the thing. It's like, we're not telling you this in a negative way, because at the end of the day, you always got paid. Yeah. At the end of the day, it always benefited you to do it. But long term, when you're thinking about, I don't think any of us thought it would ever stop, because it was going crazy for so long. And when it stopped,
that's the naivety that we had. Yeah.
When it stopped hard. And it was like, when we talked about We had that financial conversation at the beginning of 2022. Like, we got to diversify. It's because just because you're making 50, 60, 70,000, $100,000 a month, we look at it like it wasn't still one income, and we hadn't diversified yet. You know what I'm saying? And you don't look at it that way because it's so much to you at the time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So you think you don't need to diversify?
Yeah, like, I'm cool. Like, bro, what? 25,000 a month, 30,000 a month, cool.
Right. You saying like, but don't if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Don't
you know what I'm
fix
saying?
it. But
at the end of the day, level this up.
And then it's also like, because I'm a leader, because I'm this respected individual, I can't give it back.
Right.
That's the part that I think hurt a lot of people, is that we still felt like things were changing for us, but you can't tell nobody in your group that things are changing for you.
Yeah, I think that's the toxic part about it, is that, trying to, because you're leading people, because people are looking to you and looking to you for guidance, but also for wisdom, inspiration, and stuff like that. A lot of leaders felt like, all these things I've acquired, I can't like just give them up, because now what are my people going to aspire to?
No, not even what are they going to aspire to. What are they going to think of me?
And then I'm getting to that. And then what would they even think of me if they see me having to take this back, or do this or do that? You know what I'm saying? Do things that are possibly uncomfortable for me right now, but it's
smart.
It's smart for my survival.
And I think one of the things that benefited Malcolm didn't give a damn. I always gave a damn.
You
I 1,000% gave a damn at all times.
I don't give any dams.
But this is where we talk about processing and healing and all that kind of stuff like that. Because for me, in hindsight, it's like, I'm grateful, but it is very important to have people in your corner that understand this business. Yeah. And I think one of our strong points was that we will always make friends with couples in the industry, but all these couples always had years on us in this game. And we would always ask those questions of like, yo, if you could tell your younger self something different when you first made your first 6 figures in this industry, what would you say? And they would give us different advices. And it's like, when things started to shift, you call that same people, yo, what would you do?
What would you do?
And I'll never forget, one of the conversations was like, get rid of it before you don't have a choice.
Yeah, facts.
And it's like, you in the moment, this is where I think 2022 was where the grief really started to get crazy, because now you're grieving what we thought was going to be. At this point, I should be at $250,000 a month. I got a kid now. Like, we did all this to be able to.
Yeah, I think that was part of it too.
I think when you have a child, maturation is at a whole nother level, because just me and you could thug it out. We've lived life off of $2,000.
You know what I'm saying? We could have thugged it out by ourselves.
What?
But now when you bring a life into this point, and
can't be homeless,
and our lives are changing financially now, when we had did everything right prior to,
and that's like, the piece.
What the hell is going on here?
That's the part when you actually did well. You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't just splurge on all the bread. We didn't buy all the bags. Didn't buy all the car. We didn't do we didn't start making those decisions till right before everything went topsy turvy. We felt like we had waited long enough, saved long enough, been smart long enough, well enough, and let's just now we can
treat ourselves
just a little bit.
Yeah.
And everything went crazy. But like I said, it's nothing wrong with that happening, because that's business.
That is business, right? Exactly.
You got Elon Musk right now talking about how he is down on Twitter.
He taking an L.
He is down.
Rightfully so. I'm like,
Oh my God.
He did some things I ain't like.
I understand, but this is not about politics. Okay.
Firing people, not giving them severances. He deserves everything he's getting right now.
Yeah, no, for sure. But my point of saying that is, you look at somebody like Elon Musk, who put billions into the allocation of the company Twitter, who is now upside down.
Like a mug.
So, is this not just business?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the expectation is that you'll be good because you acquired an already profitable company, right?
Right.
But that's not what you're in right now. Now you're upside down. So, I don't think we were prepared for what upside down looks, not upside down, but what your income changing and changing rapidly looks like. And I remember my bad, you was about to say something?
No, I was just thinking we were just so new to how this industry works.
Yeah, because the old heads was like,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
It's 5 years. It's year 5, y'all.
Right. Like we had no idea that there's literally like a 5-year window. It's gonna make a break. You know what I'm saying? Like the company could be doing well, but your organization, unless that thing is like, no, because not even then, because from what we've seen, the numbers we've seen in 5 years, that shit can go to nothing. You know what I'm saying? Typically, you have a 5-year run. Mm-hmm. In network marketing, you have a 5-year run.
And if we
make
knew
all
that,
you can make.
If we knew that from the get go, I think we would have bought a Nissan.
100%. We've done so many different things.
So many different things. Like, we probably would have purchased a house. Yeah. There are so many things that we would have done differently if we understood the dynamic of how the industry could go. But oh God, I was about to say something.
I think that's where the trauma comes in, though. It's because everybody was starting to have their businesses turn backwards, and
nobody ever said anything.
No one was talking about what the hell was actually going on.
Because that's not right.
Because people don't leave your organization by the thousands or the hundreds daily. Mm. This is not everybody's quitting at the same time.
Everybody's giving up.
Everyone's not giving up at the same time. Culture was still what it was.
Still having calls, still having events, still putting on. There was
internal things that was not being said and wasn't being transparent enough to us or to leaders in general, where we're thinking
until it was too late,
where you're thinking that you're the problem. You're thinking that maybe I'm not the leader I think I am, or maybe I don't have the capacity that I think I have. I'm one hit wonder, or just thinking all these different things about yourself, not understanding that it's the backside of the business that you have no idea. We have no control. You have no control over it, and this thing is happening with or without you working harder or not.
And I think the other aspect to it too is like, which is in that season of like when I was telling people like, yo, make sure you just have your own thing going on, like something that you can sustain or you can control, at least, because we couldn't control this, which is why we started talking about diversity. But the pride and the ego
talk about it.
That you have developed when you have become successful, you become a part of the 1%. I remember having a conversation with some of our business partners and was like, yo, so you would just never go back to work? I can't go back to work. I retired. You know what I'm saying? I did the whole thing. I put it on social media. Like I put my resignation, like, and it's like, but nigga,
we did a lot, y'all. Like, people did a lot.
But it's like, but those were the conversations that I feel like still needed to be had, because like what I'm telling you is like, so you're telling me that if you were down to your last dollar and this company is not giving you anything else,
right,
you're not going to do anything based off of what it's going to look like to other people. And I was going to make this point a long time ago, is that the problem is the stuff that we were most concerned about is what people would think.
Yeah.
But in reality, most people would never know.
It's real.
Right? Most people would never know. When you gave up your BMW, people found that out this year.
Yeah, they found out.
They found this out a whole year ago, a year later, that was a thing. Nobody knew that. Yeah. And so it's like sometimes we're not making decisions because of what it looked like. Oh, I can't downsize. What would people say? You don't even let people come to your house. Nobody even knows where you live.
Right.
How would they know? Unless you are the one getting out there to publicize this. If you got a job, how would they know?
Unless you told somebody.
I can't drive Uber. What if I see somebody? Well, what if your family can't eat?
You know what I'm saying? Like,
but the pride was at an all-time high, like, and I'm speaking from experience because, you know what I'm saying, the conversation, Malcolm talking about, oh, let's leave the house and we need to make these decisions before we don't have a choice. And I'm like, bruh, what are people going to think? And you were like, I don't know, and I don't care.
I don't care what people think. I really don't.
We're two totally different polar opposites.
I'm trying to live, and I'm thinking about my family. I'm thinking about what is sound. You know what I'm saying? What's wisdom? And thank God I have that about me.
Yes, thank God.
Because most people, not even most, but there are people out there that will sit in it. And for me, I'm not a sitter. I will shift quick if I have to.
Malcolm's not playing with y'all.
I'm not playing. I'm a move. I'm gonna maneuver something.
He's a mover and shaker.
Because life is too short, and also like I don't care for what people have to say about me or what they think about my situation. I know what we have, what we've done, and I know what can happen. And at that point, you got to be smart. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times in this industry, when people do fall off or people do fall on hard times, because you've experienced something that the average person probably hasn't experienced, if you reach that 10 to 1%, you have this thought process of that I can't, like, this is all I know. Like you get used to that. You get used to the money.
My God.
And for me, that shit happened so quickly. I ain't that used to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck that.
I was used to it. 1,000% luxury me.
You know,
massage
cool.
every week.
That's cool. But that, for me, I'm thinking like, if I ain't made this money for 10 years, I can't afford a lot of shit that I got. So let me shift. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people ain't thinking like that. Like, but how long can you make the money?
Here's the thing. You don't think like that until you deal with stuff like this.
Exactly. That's why you got to keep on living.
And that is so funny. You have to keep on living. But that's why we said, like, this wasn't going to be anything that's negative. It's being real. Because, like I said, you'd be surprised how many phone calls we've gotten over the last year where people simply just say, everyone's acting like this isn't happening. But it's hitting me hard. You know what I'm saying? It's not about, like another, it might not be hitting the person that made 100,000, 50,000, 25,000 a month as hard because of how much you were able to save over that time. But what about the person that was only making 5 or made 10 for 2 months or, before things started changing? It was like those were the people that were impacted the most.
Right.
And I don't think it was fair for any of us, but especially for us to not even have the verbiage to give people that were calling us. And that's why I just started to, hey, you got to go build something. You got to go build something. You got to go create something. But meanwhile, for myself personally, I was so locked in when we talk about the delusion or talk about the success bubble and the person, the culture you have to be immersed in to be successful. It was so hard for me to feel like I could do something outside of that space because like you said, that's all we know.
It was tough.
That was your first experience at success, financial success, and just being good at something
at a high level. Yeah.
At a high level, and it's like, what do I do without the stages? Like I remember on one of our last conferences that we went to, it was the first time they let me speak on stage, and I just couldn't believe it. One, I've been making this amount of money for a year, but that's neither here nor there. But it was like I had finally felt like I had got to one of the areas that I wanted to be at, which was to be the person that, gets the acknowledgement. There's been so many revelations, y'all know, I've received, but this is what I've been talking about the whole time of like, when I look at my childhood trauma and understanding the part that network marketing played in it, network marketing was so, like the identity crisis came because network marketing feeded a piece of me that I had been seeking my whole life, which was for more recognition.
That's good.
Network marketing, like the whole premise is based off of being able to recognize you for your next level, recognize you for being better, recognize you for elevating. And it was like, that was something that I needed, I craved so bad in life. And because of that, I was being fed. And so now when you're like, yo, there's nothing more to try to reach, don't talk about pivoting companies and all that. I'm like, yo, what are we doing? Yeah. Because I just got here, I just got my shot. You know what I'm saying? So it was really difficult to part ways with not only companies, but the whole industry, because it was something that I needed at that time. But I really believe that all things happen on purpose. God had to show us. He had to show us how far we had moved ourselves from him for money. And we've told y'all that, but now you see what we're talking about. Like, it ain't God. I got this. When you broke, God got us. He gonna make sure we could do all things. I could do all things. The Christ will strengthen me. Those events, a lot of them are spiritual, but spiritual to the point where I was telling my mom, like, I don't gotta go to no church. Like, this is my church. That's wild.
Dang, yeah.
That's how far. But when I say far, that's how far I had gotten. And not that what they said was wrong.
It's just we was indoctrinated in it. for so long, when you immerse yourself in something for so long, it's hard to see yourself outside of that. And like we definitely struggle with like identity. Outside of that, it's like, damn, what the hell did we do? Like, who am I now?
What do I do?
Here's the thing, like, I wanted to trade in the beginning, and then I became so indoctrinated into the culture that I became somebody that I didn't even really recognize. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I got to a point. I quit before you. Obviously, I quit the business side before you, a year before you. But it was because I just didn't feel like I was being who I wanted to be. I felt like I was a carbon copy of somebody else. I felt like I was operating as if this is not Malcolm Garrison. Malcolm Garrison would speak his mind right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that. I'm like, yo, I didn't figure out who the fuck I am. I'm about to turn 30. You always had that enlightenment when you about to turn 30. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, I need to go on this journey of self-awareness and like, who am I? What do I want out of life? I definitely don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I'm seeing how quickly things can change, obviously, and I'm a person that's I want stability, but I want somewhere where I can scale. And I had the scale part with that business, but obviously it showed me that's, you know what I'm saying, it's scalable, but to a fault. And I'm like, okay, let me shift. What the heck do I want to do? What do I like to do? These are the conversations I was having with you. Like, what do I actually like to do? Because I went from playing basketball all my life, playing in college that felt like a full-time job. I never got to experience anything outside of that. I never got to go on internships. I never got to see what I actually like to do outside of basketball. And then here comes network marketing, something that I was against at first,
but was a sport.
But is essentially a sport in itself. Eventually get good at that. And that's what I'm now, my new indoctrination into. But it was never me. It was never for me. You know what I'm saying? So I had to go through that time of like, yo, what is your skill set, yo? What do you like? What do you enjoy? You love economics. You love all these different things. Okay, how can you make that something? You know what I'm saying? And I never had that time prior to network marketing. But it was a blessing of how things happen, because I was able to get out and kind of figure that stuff out. You know what I'm saying?
Because
we had to get thrust into that.
Because we were still making money. You know, I said, all right, listen, well, you better find a thing, because we ain't stopping this train until something else is going to pay for it.
Right. It's a lot. It really is. And then, the following.
Yeah, you don't want to let people
to
down.
Companies. I'm talking about like following people to companies.
Oh.
It's a whole nother thing in itself.
Yeah, that was different.
You've never experienced anything like that. Obviously, people that have, more experience, they hop from company to company to company.
I don't see how
to me, I don't see how
people
somebody
reinvent themselves.
You know what I'm saying? Just literally reinvent the
I know
wheel.
I called you about Forex, but
you know what I'm saying? Like, how can you be?
No, I'm selling jungle gems.
Because I'm telling y'all, you have to be delusional.
Yeah, you got to be in there.
Into the belief of what you're selling.
I'm not even going to hold you. You know what happened for me? With being moving to another company was that is you have to still buy in. Like, I just never got 100% locked into that. Yeah. And it's probably, the truth is, probably because I never made it to an event. If I'm being honest, like, maybe. When I got to my first event with our last company, I cried after it. Like, people really need us. We can change. Remember I called you at work today?
We can change the world.
We can change the world. There are people that can't afford to go back to college, and we have a way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was really in it. Like, I knew, but I know where it came from. And it's probably because I didn't go to an event, but I just, I think what happened was there was this one event that we had in 21. 21? What do you have, Kaden? Yeah, 21. And there was a guy who got on stage and he did his training. And a part of his training where he talked about if you leave people too long without giving them something to do, they'll become stale biscuits. Wildest training I ever heard in my life.
That is wild.
But the funny part is, I live by that philosophy now. Like, that's what happened. Like, that transition period when things had changed and there was preparation for the next move, is that there was a long stale biscuit season. I'm talking fresh out the oven, been on the stove for 6 months. You would throw them hard ass biscuits in the trash so fast after leaving them overnight, let alone 6 months. So I think
on ice for a long time.
Yeah, I think that on ice period, there were just so many ways that people find. One, some people didn't have a choice to find other ways to make
some
money.
People had to,
we were having a conversation. We were talking about diversification, and there were people that, our company had launched an e-commerce sector at the end of COVID, and there were individuals that were like making multiple 6 figures, 7 figures from just their e-com business. But remember, we've been living off of the only way I can make $1 million
right.
is through network marketing. So I think that period had to happen too. The stale biscuit season had to happen because there were so many people that found other routes. And when the people that we were leading found other ways to make money, it made me comfortable to say I could walk away.
Walk away from the industry?
Yes, because the hardest part is when you're leading people, it's not about leaving. Like, there are people that say, I'll leave the money all day. Because it wasn't like we weren't making any money anymore. We were still making money. It just wasn't enough to cover half of anything. But we were still making money. It was, I don't want to leave the people who trusted me, has trusted in me. And there were people that literally didn't even want to do anything. They wanted to move on, but they were staying for me. And so I'm like, yo, let me release you.
Yeah.
Because, like, baby,
you're good. You're good over here. You know what I'm saying?
You're good, I promise. Don't stay for me. Do not stay on my account.
You'd be surprised how many people stay for people, though.
You do.
And be miserable.
But was I not doing that? I was staying for people. I was staying for loyalty.
Yeah.
And, I just got to the point where I was like, yo, that's not fair for Brittany. Everybody else will get to reap the benefit of who I am, except for me, if I do this for everybody else. But, one, that came with the podcast, that came from having a supportive partner. It came from being able to just introspect and self-reflect and just time with God. And I've loved hate for this season that has been, because it's been like, yo, I have had to find this version of me that is going to carry me to my next decade, through my next decade. But we had to talk about this because it is so foundational to who we are at 30.
Yeah, facts.
But we were not in a place where we could talk about it from a space of like, here are the highs, here are the lows. But without both of them, we're not us.
Literally.
Like, I would never take back those years.
No, not at all.
I would never take back the good or the bad. They all had to happen.
It all had to happen.
All things work together for the good of them that love the Lord, okay? It's true. Even how do we find our pastor?
Yeah, because we were in that season where, like, Lord?
No, not that. What? How do we find our pastor? We were at an event, and he was speaking at this event.
That's right.
We were like, yo, who is this?
Who is this dude?
Following him after that. Then he starts a church.
That's real.
Down the street from our house.
That's crazy.
But without us being in that environment, do we find him? I mean, perhaps.
Maybe eventually, but either way, it happened in divine order, it seemed like. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything kind of really happened in really divine order.
And honestly, I'm excited as hell for what's coming in this next season, just because I understand where we've been. And I understand what it also, network marketing, bro, I'm trying to tell you, if you really want to be an entrepreneur, you should do it.
Yeah.
You have to, because you will learn so much about yourself where you get comfortable with going through processes. And I will say,
I ain't gonna tell them you should do it, but
I think you should at least have it.
But you'll learn a lot if you do.
No, I think there's most people won't get those environments. They won't it's the whole, not the companies. It's not the.
I would say go to the events. You don't need to join the company. Go to the events. Though.
You do, because you have to if you're not in the company, you don't have to buy into why you even there. How many people have we invited to events that weren't in the company?
You get the positive vibes, the positive energy.
Cool.
You know what I'm saying? You get that,
and it fades
eventually. But the thing is, if you get into it, eventually you're going to join it. So.
Anyway,
gotta be careful.
I say that because in this next season, it's like I know how to move. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Not from
sure.
I did this wrong or did this right, but it's like I know how to move. I know how to be patient. I know how to say, I can set a goal now, and it don't have to be in 90 days. I gotta be rich tomorrow. Like, I know I just started this 2 days ago, but I can't wait to be a millionaire tomorrow and make my next 8 figures tomorrow. No. Like, I'm cool with we just talked about it today. Like, yo, when do we want this? Blah, blah, blah. Then we both looked at each other and said the same date, same year, all that stuff like that, because we understand patience now. We understand if we could do that in 5 years, we could do that in 6 years, right? If we could make our first 7 figures through that with no experience, what could we do now that we're experienced?
That's real. So... Do we have anything in the comment section?
I don't know if this was a comment section-y one. What did you have?
I mean, let's talk about a life lesson since we're on part 2.
Oh, facts. So we definitely didn't do a life lesson on the part 1. You go first. I just finished talking.
I think my life lesson is that what you did in your 20s may not define what you do in your 30s. It may not define who you'll be or who you are. Life has all its ebbs and its flows, and you don't have to get too high when it's high. You don't have to get too low when it is low. I've learned, over this last decade that you just gotta try to get better, and there's something to measure. Measure yourself from when you were 20 to now being 30. If you're ahead of where you were, then there's something that's measured there. That's a win. You've grown. Something that's happened. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes when you're going through all the things, it feel like you ain't going nowhere. You feel like you ain't progressing. But when you think about it, we don't measure backwards. We measure forward. You're thinking like, man, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. And by 40, I need to be doing. No, you need to measure from behind you. Where were you to where you are today? And if you're doing better, then you're on the right track.
I would say my life lesson is all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord. Because everything that we learned, everything, all the influence that we have developed, impact has showed me who I want to be and the things that mean the most to me, which is not being influential just for financial gain, but being influential for who I can help, who I can save, who I can reach, how can I impact the world, which is something I've always wanted to do. And you need certain life moments. There are things that in your life that you're always going to be able to identify, seasons and moments in time that changed everything. They might be financially in one season, it might be mentally in another season, it might be spiritually in another season. And I say, I believe that's the journey that we're on. And so all things will always work together, the good and the bad, the parts that you like, the parts that are uncomfortable, the parts that you don't like, they always work together eventually, because God knew exactly how each of it will go. He knew exactly how all of it will go. And so because he knew, I can only trust that everything that is coming, it's like, when you think about it this way, like if God created the world from nothing, what could you do with the something you have now? If we built that business from nothing, no experience, no nothing, what are we creating now with all that we know, all that we've done, and all that we've experienced, and all that we've helped? What could we do now with what's in our hands? Yeah. So I'm excited.
This has been another one.
I hope y'all love this. I hope y'all enjoyed it. This is that's what happened. Forex. We still here though. Malk still trade, y'all. He's not teaching nobody.
I'm not.
If you want some education, Better Than Amazing.
Yes.
BTA Arena. Our brother DL Wills got you covered. We'll see if we can get a link put in the bio. I mean, in the show notes. But I am your co-host, Brittany.
And I'm Malcolm.
And you can follow me at Brittany Donnell.
And you can follow me at Malcolm_2_Garris.
And don't forget to follow the show at So Let's Talk About It Pod on all platforms. Make sure you like, share, subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else that you listen to your podcast. And don't forget to join the listener lounge at SoLet'sTalkAboutItPod.com. We want to hear your thoughts on what happened, and we're still here, how you feel about that. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Peace.